Hello, my name is Scott McQueen. I'm the Commercial Forestry Account Executive based here in the Pacific Northwest. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our webinar today focused on ESRI's partnership with Trimble Forestry and introducing their new Chemical Application Manager solution. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted in the next few days. As a participant, you will receive a follow-up email with a link to that recording. We have a very full agenda for you over the next hour, so I'd like to do a quick overview of what we have planned. First, we'll do some introductions of the presenters and our respective companies for those of you who may not be familiar with ESRI or Trimble Forestry. You'll hear a brief overview of technology in the forest industry, and then we're excited to talk about our renewed partnership and what that means for our customers. Next, we have an overview of Trimble's Connected Forest and introduce Trimble's new SaaS Chemical Application Manager. We'll follow that with a demo of the solution in action, and then we'll do a quick wrap up and have a Q&A session, which all of you will be able to participate in. As a reminder, we would like to encourage you to enter questions in the GoToWebinar questions dialog box as we go along during the presentation. On the slide now, you can see how that should look for you in your webinar interface. We will answer as many of those questions as time permits toward the end of the session, or follow up after the webinar if we run out of time. So now let's get some introductions of our team. You've met me already. I'm Scott McQueen. I'm ESRI's Senior Account Executive for Commercial Forestry based in the Pacific Northwest. Joining us today is Trimble Forestry's Director of Strategy and Partnerships, Pierre Rainville, up in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, and Jason Dane, Director of Product Management out in Nova Scotia. Also joining us is my ESRI colleague, Scott Newless, Solutions Engineer on our ESRI Natural Resources team, and he's speaking to us from Houston, Texas. Pierre?
Thank you for the intro, Scott. Some background on Trimble. Trimble is a US-based technology company with over 10,000 employees across 35 countries. And Trimble Forestry is a division of Trimble with about 300 employees and offices in Canada, the US, Finland, Germany, New Zealand, and Brazil. So the major wood baskets globally. Our product portfolio of connected forest solution manages millions of hectares of production forest worldwide, of which a large percentage is sustainably managed, over 100 million cubic meters of log transactions annually, and our operational solutions are running on thousands of harvesting machines and log transport trucks globally. Scott?
Great, thanks, Pierre. Now I'd like to introduce ESRI to those of you who may not be familiar with us. ESRI is the global market leader in GIS, and we've been in business as a software company for over 50 years. We are based in Redlands, California, with offices across the United States and around the world. We have over 4,000 employees, and our software is used in 75% of the Fortune 500 companies. Our software is also used in over 300 commercial forestry companies, which were some of ESRI's very first customers. We're a company of and for people just like you, and we're humbled to continue to work alongside you as your business operations have evolved over those last 50 years. Today, we're excited to talk to you about our software and our renewed partnership with Trimble Forestry. Pierre?
We know the forest industry is facing challenges: aging workforce, technical debt, pressure to move off legacy systems, ever-increasing regulatory requirements, the need for a mobile workforce, need to integrate information across business areas and business to business, better visibility and transparency. A report published in 2020 by McKinsey & Company says that data is the next wave of forest productivity. If we look at the evolution of data management in the forest industry, it can be described in 3 stages. The first stage was fragmented. Data was managed in ArcGIS, databases, Excel, GPS was used in the field, lots of effort to both capture, transform, and maintain data. Sharing data was difficult, usually done with paper, maps, and Excel files. From fragmented environments, we went to visible. Here we're talking about integrated forestry systems, usually multiple systems, still difficult to integrate, some interaction with field tools, usually via multi-step processes. This stage offers better visibility and data sharing. We're now moving to what I'd call optimized. This is the stage where we have visibility and connectivity across the supply chain. So we're sending harvest instructions directly to the machine, production information is coming back. Office functions are available in the field. This allows us to turn our attention to better decision-making and optimized workflows. Helping the industry optimize workflows to improve productivity and visibility is driving our partnership to support the industry. Scott, anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Pierre. And I've had that very same experience with a lot of the ESRI customers I'm working with. And I just want to point out, too, that most of you out there, our customers, will fall somewhere along that spectrum as they continue to evolve their business practices and technology implementations. Okay, so as many of you know, Trimble Forestry has a long history of building solutions with ESRI's technology. Trimble and ESRI have been business partners for over 20 years, and both companies have deep ties to the global forest industry. We fully understand the needs of the industry. I think it was about 3 years ago, we realized that there was a real need to help our customers move off of those fragmented systems, including all the spreadsheets, paper, isolated systems, write in the rain notebooks, and the rest of it, and onto a more adaptive framework. In short, the industry realized it was falling behind and desperately needed a way to optimize their business workflows and the technology along with it. We, Trimble and ESRI, decided we really needed to work to renew our partnership to help lead the industry in this technology revolution. So we came together and started talking about what this could look like. And Pierre, I know you remember some of those early meetings down in Redlands back when we could travel. Anything else you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I think the message the industry wants to hear is that ESRI and Trimble Forestry are working together to support the industry to solve some of these challenges.
Great. Okay, so this whole process really began when we had joint customers asking us to work together to support them and the industry. It started 3 to 4 years ago, which I mentioned, and included a variety of diverse customers from across the industry, including several forest product companies, some really big forest management companies, a variety of forest owners, and even governments and NGOs. This call to better work together was coming from around the globe and broadly based across land management organizations, big and small. Beyond working better together, we were being asked to help the industry with a vision for what our technologies could do together, not separate, but together. Their expectations were that the technology stacks integrated seamlessly and included the world of web-deployed solutions and offline mobile solutions. If you recognize your company name up there, or even if you don't, understand we heard you and are ready to support you in your technology evolution. Pierre?
What's interesting here is that over the last 12 to 24 months, roughly, some of our customers brought both ESRI and Trimble to the table to discuss product integration. It's safe to say this was a catalyst for improving the way we work together. The focus of our efforts is about delivering value to the customers, and I think we achieve that in 3 ways. Seamless integration between the ArcGIS framework and the Trimble Connected Forest, simplifying data access and improved mobile workflows for field users to better support mobile workers, better integration of GIS analysis tools to support business decision. Scott, next slide, please. Some background on our strategy, which is called the Connected Forest. It's about offering a portfolio of solutions to the industry that integrate and allow it to manage the supply chain from forest to mill or customer. The portfolio has 4 product families. CF Forest supports land, forest, and asset management, things like activities, timber sales, planning, silviculture, roads. CF Harvest is used to plan and execute harvesting and other field activities. This gives better visibility on the operations. CF Logistics for planning the movement of logs from the forest to mill, optimizing the fleet. Again, this idea of visibility, what wood goes where. CF Business, tools to manage business-to-business transactions between the supply chain players. Many of these business processes that are managed in the connected forest require tools to capture, manage, visualize GIS information. And that's why the ArcGIS framework is a critical component of the connected forest portfolio. Now, the chemical application manager that we'll demo is part of the CF Forest family. This SaaS solution represents a first example of our joint efforts. Moving forward, we're planning to both improve existing integration and add new integration points between the ArcGIS framework and the connected forest. The goal is to improve the user experience and deliver value to our customers. The Chemical Application Manager, or CAM for short, is an out-of-the-box SaaS solution to plan, track chemical application, and supports the complex regulatory requirements involved. It also offers a single window to capture the detailed record keeping that is mandated in most jurisdictions. CAM is built on the connected forest that integrates the ArcGIS framework, and because it's SaaS, there's nothing to install, you just have to sign up for the service. CAM has 3 components. The CAM web portal is where you can plan and manage application activities and costs, assign activities to application crews, in essence, sending the details to the mobile device. Also share information to specific audiences via the dashboard, things like a job progress, hot zones, and reentry dates. Then the mobile component can be used to capture information and observations in the field, weather, active ingredients, work progress. This works both in a connected and disconnected environment. The mobile app also allows users to access and manage the workflow in the field, supporting the mobile workforce. And finally, a web map interface to share information and capture public comments to support stakeholder engagement. Comments are written back to the CAM for tracking and managing responses. Enough with the slides. I'll turn it over to Jason Dane and Scott Newell to demo the CAM components through the different personas, a planner, a spraying contractor, and stakeholders who need to be informed. Jason?
Thanks, Pierre. So hi again, hi, my name is Jason Dane from Trimble Forestry. I'll be walking you through some of the key functionality in the Chemical Application Management tool. I'll do so by playing a couple of key roles. So the first will be a planner in the office, and the second will be a chemical applicator in the field. So starting off, I'm a planner in the office, and I need to review an existing property and add some details to an existing activity. So first off, we'll start off here on the login screen. You'll see here, I've already made the first step, which is to enter in my details. And here you can see, as this is a SaaS solution, I'm in a browser. I'm asked to select my organization. So there's no software to install, no licenses to worry about once you've subscribed. It's basically just, go to the URL and enter the application. So the first thing I'm going to do before I start jumping into a few workflows is give you a bit of an overview of the application itself. Starting off, you'll see the landing page within the application is a series of dashboards. So the dashboard that I'm looking at here is a chemical treatment overview, which basically gives me a summary of the pulse of my operations. Where am I spraying? What kind of activities am I doing? How is my budget working? What activities are in progress? And that sort of thing. And then from here, I can start to drill into some of the details by clicking on the tree view. And here you'll see the hierarchy of the data, which is by state and county, and then the different properties that are here. And for this panel over here is the tabular view, which basically has all of my tabular data, as well as my breadcrumb trail as to where I am. And then finally, the spatial view, which includes all of the map data for the Chemical Application Manager. So you can see here, I've got a base map selected and pulled up here. I have some basic functionality about managing the layers that I have here, as well as the base maps that I want to use. We'll get to some more of this later. So as you can see, the Chemical Application Manager, or CAM, is tightly integrated with the ESRI components to provide a good user experience for managing their data. So I'm going to click back to the tabular data here and review the pipe track, which is where I'm going to be working. So as you can see from the tree view here, I've got all the different properties that I need in the system, online and available. I don't have to worry about an Excel sheet that's on somebody's desktop who's away in the woods or who's out on vacation, or somebody built an access database. You know, all the information is here online and available. So here I'll look at the parcel or the property here, and this is the pipe tract, and you can see I've got the key information about the owner, the address, their email, the section, township, and range, if there's any certification type, any documents or comments that I want to leave. And as well, I have the key thing here for sort of stakeholder engagement is I have a on-the-fly overlay of all of the parcels that are adjacent to the parcel that I'm on. So a key part of the system is that parcel fabric of ownership, so that as you sort of create or modify properties that you're working with, the system automatically does this intersect to return the properties that are adjacent to a given distance of the property that you're working on. So here I'm going to go back to the map view, and where I can see that particular property, and you'll see it'll zoom into this property. And if I zoom out for a second, you can see in sort of this salmon color, this is the parcel fabric that's included. And then if I zoom back in here, I can go in and change my base map to use imagery. And then I'm going to go into the layer manager, and I'm going to turn off the parcel data for now, just so you can get a better view of things. So now here you can see each one of these sort of pinkish polygons represent an activity that I'm going to perform within a property. So from here, I can choose this tree view button, and I can click on one of these guys, and it will navigate to that particular record in the tree. And then if I expand that, I can see the different activities that are taking place. So here, if I select this one, it'll zoom me into it on the map. And then I can go in and switch back to the data view. And from here, I have the ability to view the information about that activity. So this is a chemical or a site preparation that's broadcast. It's planned for the first week in March. And here I can identify the contractor, whether it's a retreatment or that type of thing. And then if I expand that, here I also have the ability to record weather observations, stands that are intersecting based on a spatial overlay, the chemicals or products that are being applied, as well as the carrier and their costs, as well as any other costs that I might incur in terms of labor or materials that are required to apply those chemicals. So I'm going to make a quick edit to these just to show you how that works. So I will go back to the map view, and I'm going to make a quick edit, and I'm also going to create a new record just to show you how that works. So I will hit the edit button. I'll choose this. I'll jump back here and edit the feature and click on it, and you will see that it will go into edit mode for me. Here where I can go in and I can move a vertice, or I can drag the whole shape, and then I can make that update. And once I've made that update, then it's there for everybody in the system to see. The GIS area is recalculated automatically. The overlays are done automatically between the adjacent parcels and the intersecting stands for downstream users. And then the process to create a new one is very much the same. I can go through in here, turn on my imagery. I'm going to turn off this. I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to add a feature, and I'm going to apply right along this border here of this plantation in this recent cut, and double click to finish and say add. And then once I've done that, that new shape is there, and you'll see it immediately populates the tree view with an empty record. And then I can come in here, and by hitting the attributes button, I can quickly fill in the details that are required. So I'm going to enter in that this is a site preparation. It's going to be broadcast. This is a planned activity. I need a planned date. I'll give it the 4th. And then I'm going to scroll over here and I'm going to assign it to my spraying contractor who, funny enough, also happens to be named Jason Dane. So I'll pick him from the list and I will give it a status of assigned. And then I will save that record. So now you'll see the tree view will update with the details that I entered, and I can close out of the attributes window, and that takes me kind of to the end of the office workflow. So I'm going to change gears here to my mobile device, and I will show you what the field worker will see in terms of what they need to do. So I'm just going to switch tabs here. So here you can see I have a list on my mobile device of all the records that are waiting for me to work on. All of this data was transmitted to me electronically once I was in cell range. No emails were exchanged, no PDF documents, no paper maps, no meetings. I was able to get my work transmitted to my mobile device, and I can look at it one of two ways. So here you can see there's a list of all the activities that I need to do, or I can toggle into map view and see the activities that I have that are waiting for me. And as you can see here, you can't see my finger, but this is the record that I just created. So I'm going to open up this particular activity and hit the info button, and you'll see a very similar tabular look to the application. So the same fields and the same information that the planner had in the office is available for me to then edit. So I can come in here and I can choose an actual start date, an actual end date. Let's say it was done just now. I could come down here and I can view the polygon, and I can come in and I can make any changes that are required. I wanted to start anew, so because I ended up doing something different. So I'm going to collect a location. I'm going to go over here, and then I can come up here, and then I'll go over here, and then I'll say OK. So I've created a new polygon. I can also come in here under my Documents tab, and I can either attach a document from my computer, which might be a photo or a PDF document of the label. Then I can come to the Weather tab. I can record a weather observation for the date of the spray. I'm going to record the temperature. 25 might be a bit chilly. I'll record the wind speed, wind direction, 240 miles. Oops. And then the relative humidity. And again, if I wanted to take a photo of the sky conditions or what have you, I could. And then I'm able to look at the product supplied and enter in those details as well. And then once I'm done, I can hit the checkbox, and then basically that information is updated. And basically you'll see these little arrows on that activity. What that means is that's now synchronizing that data back to the office so that the planner has an update in real time of basically of what I'm doing in the field. Again, no PDFs, no emails, no phone calls. That information is transmitted to the office in real time. Okay, so I'll pass the presentation back to Scott and Pierre for a quick recap.
Thank you, Jason. So quick recap of what you saw. Jason logged in to the CAM SaaS solution. This is a secure environment where he planned the chemical treatment in the office and assigned it to a field worker or contractor on their mobile device. The field worker, chemical contractor, was then able to review the treatment plan, capture the information about what's happening in the field. This updates the CAM, giving involved parties visibility on the operations. Scott, are you ready to show us the stakeholder view of the solution?
Let's do it. Thanks, Pierre. With the renewed partnership between Trimble and ESRI, workflows can be extended with ArcGIS easier than ever before, using configurable out-of-the-box tools to add business value. As Jason said, there's different roles that might want to interact with this chemical application workflow. As a manager, I'm interested in not really the details about specific activities and setting them up, but rather an operational overview of all of our activities. This dashboard here on the screen provides a common operating picture and a summary of all of the important information I'm concerned with. This dashboard was built in ArcGIS using our out-of-the-box dashboard tool, but it's been embedded in the Trimble CAM module for easy access. Within this dashboard, I can view all of our activities, all of our associated landowners and parcels, and high-level metrics about all of my activities. Here I can see a breakdown by activity type, by activity method, status, and then some high-level cost information. Now this dashboard is fully interactive, and this allows me to drill down into the details of specific activities if I'm interested. Over here in the parcels pane, I can click on a landowner or parcel, and the map will zoom to that location. My activities tab will update with all of the activities that are related to that specific tract or landowner. And I can see the rest of the dashboard is updated accordingly. So I can see a breakdown by activity type. I can see these 3 activities are all spot treated, and I can see a breakdown by status. Now I can click on each individual activity and I can access all of the authoritative information that's been added through both the CAM web application and the mobile application by our field crews. And then across the bottom, as I click through our different activities, I can get high-level cost information and better understand how each of my activities relate from a planned cost perspective and whether or not they were executed at, above, or below our projected costs. Now for this particular tract, I can see I've got 2 completed activities and 1 planned activity. I can go ahead and filter out that planned activity and I can see the map update accordingly as well as all of the lists. Now, this particular activity, we happen to see here it's at the boundary of our particular parcel and tract. So we might know that other landowners are going to be impacted potentially by the application process. Within the pop-up of this particular layer, I've configured a link that allows me to open up a map to better manage how we can inform all of those surrounding landowners about potential impacts. What I've got pulled up now is an interactive web application that was built, again, using components of the ArcGIS ecosystem. But this map here has been configured, again, for me to better understand who's going to be impacted by this potential spraying activity. Now in the background here, we've got that same Parcel Fabric that Jason mentioned with all of our landowners. And I can use the out-of-the-box widgets here to select a feature on the map and optionally apply a search distance around that planned feature to get an intersection of all of my parcels and landowners that are going to be impacted. And then based on the format and configurations I've made within this widget, I can download this information into something like a spreadsheet or CSV that contains all of the information about the landowner, the parcel number, any address or contact information, and I can use that to then send out an email or send out a mailer or some other type of notification to alert them of this upcoming chemical application activity. Now, some areas that we operate in have strict reporting and compliance requirements around chemical application activities. And we need a way as an organization to effectively share information about recent and planned activities with external stakeholders, including but not limited to regulatory agencies, compliance organizations, and the general public. And this can be done through an interactive and easy to use web application that is available through this system. This application here is configured to show external stakeholders some information about our recently completed and upcoming chemical activities. All of these green stars here on the map represent our individual activity locations, and I can click on one of these here and see some information about those activities. And as an organization, we can choose to expose or hide any information that's coming from our core system of record. But this application is really intended for like I said, someone outside the organization to come in and interact with all of our content. So I can come in here as a member of the public and search for a location that I'm interested in. Maybe it's my home address, to see if there's any upcoming planned activities around my area. In this case, if I zoom into our selected address here, I can see just offset to our north here, we've got a parcel and a couple of planned activities that are coming up. And I can click on each of these to get information about the type of spray, the method, the treatment area, and any date information associated with that particular activity. Now let's say I, as a resident of this particular homestead here, want to be able to add a comment and provide feedback to the company that's going to be responsible for performing this chemical application. This web app here has been designed to provide the public with the ability to add comments here within the application itself. So I can type in anything I want here. I can say maybe this resident with a respiratory problem lives at this address. And I can maybe add an attachment or associate a location here on the map, and then report that particular feedback. Now, when that report gets submitted, all of that information is going to be stored in the same core system, so it can be pulled into other component applications for our internal employees to use. So back in the dashboard here within our CAM application, I can see that same information that was contributed and recently added by the public here within my same dashboard. So as I zoom back out, I can see that newly added comment here with the newly added feedback with the comments from the members of the public. And I can use this information to better understand maybe how we plan future activities as we remain sensitive to the community in which we're operating, or I can use this to go back and historically understand how completed treatments were done in relation to the feedback we received from the community. Now, all of these tools enable us to more efficiently communicate effectively with stakeholders, both internal to our organization and external, and we can remain in good faith with the communities in which we operate through all of these tools that provide enhanced situational awareness and better communication. Scott?
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So I'll get my screen here, and here we go. So I just want to recap there. That was great. So we saw our operations manager within our forest company. The first part of that was about he or she looking at that high-level activity in the dashboard. They're interested in things like, how are these activities progressing? Do we need to adjust anything? And especially, how are we doing from a budgeting perspective? All that information was put into a dashboard that was pulling that from the core CAM system that was out there. The operations manager was able to look at what chemical applications had been planned, completed, and were left to be done, including the costs all on the dashboard that he could access from a web browser basically anywhere. Now, that information on the dashboard was internal to our forest company, but next, Scott was able to allow the general public to see a subset of that information to comply with the government regulations and gather comments on those activities from the general public. And really even make comments on them to give feedback to the forest company. All that was done via a web-based SaaS solution with no spreadsheets, no emails, no phone calls, no paper maps. The entire process was managed through the CAM system built on ArcGIS. So again, I just want to thank Jason and Scott for showing off some of what you've been working on. Okay, so let's just recap some of what we talked about today. Really, the webinar was about ESRI and Trimble's renewed partnership to help the industry forward by innovating with our mutual cutting-edge technologies and GIS. You saw a few examples of what is possible from that from that with the new Trimble Forestry CAM software as a service solution, and that was built on top of the Connected Forest and the ESRI ArcGIS framework. Beyond our partnership, we identified these 3 goals to focus on. Seamlessly integrate between the ArcGIS framework and the Trimble Connected Forest, accessing data and improving mobile workflows for the field, and performing GIS-related tasks that support improved business decisions. So Pierre, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. The Chemical Application Manager is an example of how we can merge our technologies to offer the industry an integrated business framework based on the Connected Forest and ESRI's technology. Trimble and ESRI have a common vision of the Connected Forest and how we can better support the forest industry. And Scott, before we move to questions, I just wanted to thank you and the ESRI team for organizing today's webinar.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Pierre. It's been great to collaborate with you guys, especially over the last 2 to 3 years. It wasn't just about the webinar. So now let's do a Q&A section. It's my favorite part, honestly, and that's really about questions from all of you. We just had a really great overview of the Trimble ESRI partnership and the new Trimble ESRI Trimble Forestry CAM, and I'm excited about this work we have been doing with the Trimble team. At this time, let's spend some time addressing the questions that many of you already been asking, and I've been trying to keep up with those as we've gone along. So if you have questions, this is a great time to enter them into the question window on the GoToWebinar dialog box. But meanwhile, let's get started answering some of the questions that have already shown up. So let's see. Let me go with this one. Pierre, I'm gonna send this one to you. Here's the question. Looks like the application is based on a web version of the Trimble Land Resources Manager, LRM. What about the existing Trimble and ESRI clients that are running hardware and software infrastructures for current Trimble and ESRI products? Will this tool be available on-premise to be rolled out to desktop mobile versions of LRM? Thanks.
So you're right. There are certainly some similarities between the web component that we showed you and the desktop version that is probably being referenced here. Now, you could configure this in your on-prem version if you wanted to, but there are really 2 separate things. So this is a SaaS solution that's out of the box that you can sign up for. But if you wanted to incorporate, this functionality in your on-prem version, we could certainly configure that on your on-prem version as well.
Yeah, and just to add on that real quick, Pierre. So the SaaS solution is sold as just as it is, just as Jason showed it. The on-prem stuff, if you've got ESRI licensing, we can use that, and that would be basically how that worked out. So thanks, Pierre. Jason, here's a couple that are kind of related. Can you upload the spatial layer from a helicopter as to what was sprayed? And then right behind it, there was another one almost exactly the same. Are you able to upload bulk shapefiles for planned activities? Jason?
Yes, we've heard similar requests to that before, and that's something that we'll certainly look at in terms of the roadmap and enhancements that we can make to the product, both for the coverage of the spraying machine itself, as well as bulk loading of the chemical activities. So those are both great ideas. Thanks.
Okay, and I think it's more of a general question. Was Experience Builder used to create this? So that might be Scott, that might be Jason, but I'll let you guys talk about that.
Yeah, I can take that one. So for those of you that don't know, Experience Builder is an option in the ArcGIS system that allows you to create tailored web applications. And it's one of our many options in addition to Web App Builder and Operations Dashboard, in addition to some of our configurable apps. So what we showed today, out of the 3 web applications we took a look at, we used Dashboard for the first one, which was embedded within the Chemical Application Manager itself. The second one, where we were looking at all of the surrounding properties and landowners that were going to be impacted, that was a simple Web App Builder application with an out-of-the-box widget, the public notification widget that allows you to essentially link up a layer that has reference information. In this case, it was our parcels, and allow you to generate a list of information based on the attributes stored in that layer. And then the third application that we looked at was actually a configurable app template that's available through both Portal and ArcGIS Online, called our crowdsourcing reporter. And that one is very much out of the box. It's just got a few configurable options and settings that you walk through, and it's basically ready to use. So again, everything that we showed was completely out of the box. There was no coding or customization with any of these applications that we showed.
Cool,
Yeah,
thanks.
I was just going to mention that so the LRM Web is a Trimble application that's been built within the Trimble organization, so we didn't use Experience Builder for that.
So this is just a good old general one. Probably Jason, I'll let you answer it. Where's the data stored for CAM?
So, Jason, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Pierre.
So we use AWS for hosting our solutions, our SaaS solutions. So depending on which country you're in, we usually have a local instance in country, because there are some sensitivities about where the data is stored.
Okay, and Pierre, probably I think there's a couple questions on this that are basically the same sort of vein, and I think we need to re-answer them. Does CAM integrate with LRM? So, for example, can the stand and activity data in CAM and LRM share a common data source? So that's a good one to look at.
So the chemical application manager that we presented today is really a standalone SaaS solution. So as I was describing, you could configure the same functionality in your on-prem version of LRM. Now, Jason and Scott, you could share some of the background data, could you not, across? Is that in the realm of possible?
That's right. So
not publish?
If you published a web map service from your on-prem LRM instance, you can then consume that within your instance of the CAM. So yes, you can bring over layers into the CAM, and depending on how those services are actually published, you could conceivably even edit them in there.
Awesome. So Pierre, let's real quick here. What's the cost structure? Users in the office versus field users, those sorts of costs, or even the structure of how that licensing might look.
We're still working out some of the details on this, but in essence, there's a kind of a base which gives you the office and a certain number of field users, and then you can add users on top of that. So we're probably, as far as making this available, if you're interested, please reach out. We're probably a few weeks away from setting up the production instance, getting content on our website about this. How to get people on board and finalize the pricing. But like I said, this is weeks away, certainly not months away.
Thanks. So Scott Newless and or Jason, is the Parcel Fabric that was demonstrated the ESRI Parcel Fabric? Is it required for CAM?
So no, it's not the ESRI Parcel Fabric. It's a third-party data set that we license as part of the solution. And no, it's not necessary if it doesn't exist. If there is no coverage for a particular jurisdiction, then the overlays, just wouldn't return anything. So it's not required, but it is part of the solution where it exists.
So Jason, while you're still warmed up and talking, is it possible to isolate contractor data so that they can see their own data only and not that of other contractors, for instance?
Strictly speaking, if they're logged in under a subscriber, they would see, as it stands today, they would see all the data on the desktop. But on the mobile device, they would only see the records that have been assigned to them. So they wouldn't necessarily have to have access to the desktop if they only needed to do stuff on the mobile. And given the workflows that are available there, they can basically do the same things that they can do on the desktop, on the mobile device.
Jason, I just want to correct that. It's not desktop, it's in the web portal.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
All right, and believe it or not, I'm actually going to take one of these questions. One of the questions was, moving from a fragmented system to an optimized system seems like a daunting and expensive endeavor. Can you speak to how the ecosystem needs to be configured? Well, so I just want to put out there, as Pierre showed that slide and talked through it, I made the point at that time that everyone is somewhere along that spectrum, along the evolutionary journey of moving from fragmented to optimized. And I mean, honestly, it is truly a journey. One of the things that ESRI does, separate even from Trimble LRM, is we'll go in and help our customers who may be stuck on maybe desktop or using spreadsheets primarily as their business systems, and help them develop a roadmap to move forward. And that roadmap would look at your key activities and key initiatives that need to occur typically over like a 3-year period. Because as the question asker probably knows, there's a lot of missteps that can be taken along the way. So better understanding how the technology fits within the company's own business processes and business goals is really a critical piece of that journey. So it doesn't become overwhelming, daunting, expensive, etc. So let's see here.
Scott, there's one that is on, does the mobile tool work offline?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And the answer to that, yes, you can, to get the obviously the data on the mobile app, at some point you need some connectivity to, when you're sending from the web portal to the contractor or the field worker, at some point you do need connectivity to get the data onto the device. But once the data is there, that person or persons can, work and enter the information in a disconnected or in an environment with no connectivity. And what happens later on when they hit connectivity, that data will synchronize at that point.
Great. And Pierre, I love this next question, and I'm going to put both of our names on it. CAM is a good start. What are ESRI and Trimble working on next? So I'll let you go first, and then just kind of pile into that.
Well, I alluded to it in one of the slides. This is kind of our kind of renewed effort of working together, and we're already talking about the next place in that connected forest where we want to improve integration between the ESRI platform and the connected forest. I don't have anything specific, but there's discussions happening as to where we go next. So I think reaching out, and if you have specific questions, we can certainly organize and have a discussion around that.
Yeah,
Scott,
thanks,
anything
Pierre.
to add on top of that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say that again, a lot of what we're talking about is the WebGIS aspect and the integration of the WebGIS pieces in those other areas of Trimble Forestry's connected forest. So yeah, CAM's a good start, but as everyone knows who's worked in the timber industry for any amount of time, there's a lot of legacy software out there, and not just with either ESRI or Trimble, but even some of our customers' homegrown stuff. So a good portion of this, and I go back to our main tenet in our renewed partnership, is that we want to help create a vision for where the timber industry needs to go with technology. And we're really taking that seriously. And so we have, regular phone calls between Trimble Forestry and ESRI, and I expect that to carry on in the weeks and months to come.
The other thing I would add on top of that, Scott, obviously, we're also in communication with our customers, and they have, they all have opinions, and of course we value that opinion, and that information, that feedback that we get from them will also help us drive where we should focus.
Awesome. So, oh, look at this. Here's one. and I think this kind of builds on this whole question, where are you guys going next? I have to say, in general, I'm super excited about where we're going next, and there's a lot of opportunity here. Here's one. Are there plans to sync the plan data with a navigation system to control the mechanical and chemical site prep operation? Pierre, I think that's probably best in your camp.
We are doing some work on this as well, and either it's very conceivable that what you plan in CAM, just the same way that we synchronize from the portal to the mobile app. That mobile app could be sitting on a machine that's out in the field. So it's absolutely, you could synchronize or push that activity to the machine in essence, and then capture the information as the work progresses. So that is absolutely in the realm of possible.
Awesome. So I actually want to go back to where you guys going next, because Pierre, it reminded me of the things we're doing with dashboards and CF Exchange. And the fact, as many of you know, the Trimble systems are really good at gathering those systems of record. So Pierre, I don't know if you want to just give a quick shout out about CF Exchange and dashboards and the GIS components of that.
Yeah, and this is an area where we have some discussions already, as Scott is alluding to. There's a lot of value locked up in that data, in what I'll call the transactional data of the supply chain. So where a load was picked up, where it was dropped off, and the routing. If you're able to analyze that information in using some analysis toolset, GIS toolsets, there's probably efficiencies that can be gained by better understanding that wood flow. So that's certainly an area where we're spending some energy at the moment.
Yeah, and Pierre, I just want to pile on that. The dashboards, from my perspective, is really pushing at the optimized end of that spectrum that Pierre introduced. Being able to see trends and make decisions from the data that you may have already. And that is really the vision that we want to lay out for the industry in general. It's like we've gotten very operationally efficient. Now, how do we optimize our workflows and the wood basket and what's happening in the field out there? So not just reporting about what has already occurred, but being able to make predictive analytics and looking forward to that. So I know the rest of you guys can see some of these questions. I'm kind of, as I talk, I never am good at talking and chewing gum at the same time. So here's a quick one. I think, Jason, you may have already answered it. When you create a new activity in CAM, can you link it to an existing shape, say a stand boundary, instead of having to digitize a new one?
Yes, for sure. There's a what's the link tool that basically allows you to choose a source layer and basically link an existing shape from any of the layers in the map to an existing record, so you don't have to draw it. I didn't show that, but that's an existing workflow.
Okay, great. And then Jason, this is kind of a stretch goal here. Somebody wanted to see the very beginning login part of LRM, and I think that they may have missed it when they came in. So I don't know if you can do that, or we can also. I think one of the things we're trying to do here is answer as many questions as possible. And I know that you'll get a survey after this is over, and there will be many opportunities in the survey to ask questions and have any one of us on the team here reach out to you and have a deeper discussion about anything. So let's see.
There's an interesting one, Scott. Can you talk a little bit more about the mobile collection software? Are you leveraging ESRI field maps or custom Trimble software product? So The mobile application that Jason presented is a combination. So the data structures that are configured on the web portal are delivered on the mobile device, and we use the so what is it? The spatial SDK, Scott? Is that the right
Yep.
product name for the spatial components?
Mobile,
We're using
mobile
ESRI,
SDK. Yeah.
the mobile SDK. Thank you.
Yep.
And we've got the mobile SDK embedded in there for all the kind of spatial awareness and presentation and data capture.
Yeah, and there's a map. ESRI Map service is actually driving the background data. So the presentation of the data that you see within the ESRI component is actually the same. Is essentially the published layer that you're seeing on the web as well.
So, this one, here's a question, and Pierre, I think we kind of knew this was going to be one of the questions about CAM as a SaaS solution, and I think it still needs more clarification. CAM is not connected to LR. So this is the question. CAM is not connected to LRM? Question mark. It's standalone? Question mark. How does it fit in with the connected forest? And Pierre, you're probably the best to answer that.
Sure. So it is standalone. It does not connect with an on-prem LRM. And what's the third part of that question, Scott?
How does it fit in with the connected forest?
Okay. So the connected forest, is a portfolio of products. And this is, this was an area where we had some requests where there was, kind of a business process, a problem that a lot of people had, and it might not necessarily connect with all the other components, but you can imagine that using the same framework of ESRI technology and the connected forest, that we can expand this to do silviculture, to do planning, and deliver other out-of-the-box solutions that could interact with harvesting or transportation, the logistics components, and even the business piece of managing the transactions. So you can imagine at some point that we could connect this with contract management, so that if you want to pay those contractors that are doing the spraying based on the information that you entered in CAM, we could use that settlements engine to, at the end of the pay period, calculate the payment to the contractors. So if we start thinking of aggregating this data and making the aggregation, that data management effortless, connecting other functionality onto this and optimizing some of the workflows becomes a lot easier.
And I just want to get in. Thanks, Pierre. We're down to the last couple of minutes, so I wanted to get our contact information up there, because when we start getting to questions like that, obviously you can see how the functionality that's represented in CAM could also be used if you have an on-premise implementation of LRM or even ArcGIS. So if you look at the contact information, please reach out to any of us up there so we can talk further about anything you saw today. As I mentioned earlier, you can expect a survey after the call today, and also you should be receiving a link probably within 2 weeks or so, no longer than 2 weeks, for the recording of this video here today. So with that, if there's no one else with any questions, I think we've done well. Thank you to my co-presenters, Pierre Rainville, Jason, and Scott. I had a good time again with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.